they push patients to their frustration level, because patients have this notion in their minds that, okay, the doctor's trying to make me better. And I'm sure when you went initially in 2008, okay, I'm going to see them, they're going to make me better.
That's right.
And what happened? You went on all the protocols, all the drugs, all the everything they told you to do. Were you getting better? Maybe nominally, temporarily when you first start the protocol, but long term, you're like, I'm no better than when I started. Why am I taking all these medications? Why are all these expensive pills the answer when they're clearly not the answer? It's like getting a drug that doesn't really work the way they say it's supposed to. That sounds familiar. And so, sorry, I couldn't resist. And so 2018, you go rogue a second time. You're scared. What happened?
Yeah, at that point, I didn't care. I'm like, well, maybe I'll die. Maybe that's even better, because this is no quality of life. There's nothing here for me. And a few years before that, I got an iPhone for the first time. I went to an iPhone, and I realized I have to track my passwords. I can't remember things. And they put these thoughts in my brain. Cognitive decline is very common for MS people. You know, if you misspeak, like I would turn my words around, I would say things and like, you know, I'd kind of have to laugh about it, but it wasn't funny at all. I used to be really sharp, and everything, I felt like I was drunk walking around at work. I couldn't carry my laptop and a coffee and take the stairs. The balance was hard. Everything was difficult. And then people would, you know, like, oh my God, she's taking the elevator for one flight. Just go down the stairs. But yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't do it anymore. And it's not because I used to be able to do all these things. So I just couldn't take it anymore. They were not making me better. They made me horribly worse. And yes, they gave me no hope of ever even having, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I was 38 when I was diagnosed. And if, you know, life expectancy maybe like into the 80s, I'm like, I have what, like maybe 50 years, 45, 50 years of this? This is no life at all. And anyway, I'm really glad that I had the courage to say, you know, my favorite F word, you know, F-O. And I didn't even tell anyone. I didn't tell the doctors. I was just trying to breathe and not throw up, and just, you know, my lungs were on fire. So
I want you to create a song called F-O. That would be such a big
right.
A lot of people ask me, Jimmy, how do you get such good deep sleep? Well, there's a lot of things that I do, but one of the newest things that I recently added is this upgraded magnesium from a company called Upgraded Formulas. Go to their website, upgradedformulas.com, and you can learn all about this nano technology that they use for this particular mineral of magnesium. Again, it's called Upgraded Magnesium, and it's got all the different forms of magnesium in it, using the nanotechnology so it gets absorbed a lot better. Guys, I have seen my deep sleep improve by as much as 30 to 40% simply by adding in this product along with sunshine exposure, darkness in the room, cooler temperature, all of the things that I always have done. So again, upgradedformulas.com is the website. Go check them out.
Actually, you know, I work out now, and apparently I'm kind of an athlete, people say, but I bought myself a couple rings. I'm not wearing them right now because I went to the gym yesterday. One of them is like a lotus ring. It means rebirth. And I feel like I've been kind of reborn into this new body. Yes. And the other one is really a pretty little ring, and it's cursive, and it's basically the F word, but it's in cursive. So maybe most people, younger people, might not be able to read it, but I think that's hilarious. So
yes, I love it. And you are definitely today a badass, and I want to talk about that here in a minute. But tell us, in December 2018, you started the Rogue thing. You started Carnivore. Tell us how you found out about it. Was it Sean Baker? How did you find out about it?
Okay, so I actually didn't know what I had started because I was just not able to keep any food down. So it was mostly, I guess it was kind of fasting. I didn't even know it. I was just so sick. And then when I finally got to reintroduce some foods to keep things down, I decided I'm not going to eat any fast food, processed food. I'm not going to eat bread. I'm not going to eat rice. I kind of started like a bit of a paleo kind of thing, but I didn't even know what paleo was. Lost 20 pounds, and then I was feeling a little bit better. But when you're 262, what's 20 pounds? To be quite honest, I didn't actually go keto until September 1st, 2019. And at that point, I was doing somewhat well, just being, I would walk. I did a lot of walking, so much so that I hurt my knee, and it's my left knee. It still gives me issues in jiu-jitsu to this day at times when I get rolled. But I was walking, and then I'm like, I hurt my knee. I got to move to swimming. I did the swimming, but there's all these kids in the pool. I got to find a new gym. I got to find a gym with a pool. I gotta do yoga. Started changing things up. And that whole changing things up, it actually works in the diet too. You can't eat the same way every day.
No.
So, but I wasn't actually feeling the full effects of full like superpowers until I went carnivore. And carnivore happened for me in 2020 on May 1st. I decided, I was listening to the Keto Diet podcast, and she had you and other people on there. That's how I learned about you. Leanne Vogel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she had Paul Saladino on there, and I was like, this guy only eats meat. Oh my God, how's he not dead? Right? Because I was still like, fruits and vegetables. You don't need fruits and vegetables. And I tried it, and I'm like, I feel better than I have ever felt in my entire life. Why did we ever eat any fruits and vegetables? So I started the carnivore, but I still felt like every now and then, because of hormone support, I would go back to keto, like a keto carnivore. I would switch back, eat some avocado, because I really love avocado, some berries, and the timing of it. So I really started doing all the research. I was just eating it up. Now in 2020, we have the pandemic, and then at that point, I felt like my life hadn't changed at all because I had already canceled my cable. I don't watch TV. I am just learning, and I am just soaking it all up. I listen to everybody's podcasts. I'm just eating it all up. Sean Baker, Paul Saladino, all of them. I'm just eating it all up. All the keto people, all the cholesterol people, all of them. I just can't get enough. And so that's really how the journey went. It just kind of morphed. And then at that point, I got down to, 135, 36 pound loss, but I felt kind of like maybe I should have been lifting or doing something along the way, because, just the treadmill is not enough. And so I really started doing weight training after I went carnivore, because it's, I would say peanut butter and jelly, but I don't eat either of those. So I would say it's like steak and butter, maybe.
Butter.
Yeah. So that's when I added the weights, and
not just weight. You added some hardcore stuff.
I did.
And it's amazing because back in 2012, 14, when you were kind of lamenting all this and you wanted to go rogue the initial time, the idea that you would be doing something like jiu-jitsu, which is very elite level of athletic performance, or parkour, or some of these like hardcore things that people do, it wouldn't even have crossed your mind. It was everything you could do to do that steps while holding your laptop and your cup of coffee. You couldn't do that. So now it's so empowering, and your story is so powerful, Kira. It's one reason I wanted you on the show. Plus, I adore you as a friend. I feel like people need to know that they have barely even tapped into what their potential is. And you're living proof of that. The fact that you pushed yourself in 2018 to make a change when everything within your brain and heart and everything was saying, no, I've got to keep doing what the doctors say. But then your brain tells you, but it hasn't been working. And then your brain goes back, but I need to do something because I can't live 50 more years like that. It's like this conflict in your mind.
Yeah.
Come to a culmination at some point.
How can I be doing great? As my neurologist told me, how can I be doing great when I had such terrible stomach aches from all of that medication that I would have to get up in the night to take a bite of some bread. My stomach was like, it was like a 4x4 going through my body. It was horrible. And just to let you know, that medication is made by Bayer. And I was at Lowe's getting something to kill some weeds. And I'm like, hey, that's the same logo as on my injectable medication. I'm like, why am I putting this in my body? They know how to kill.
They make poisons coming and going. So.
Oh, yes, they do. So
I will be fair. Some medications are life-saving. Let's put that out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I
not as a maintenance drug. I don't think there's any drug people other than insulin for type 1 diabetics. That would be the only exception I can think of just off the top of my head. But most people that take a maintenance drug like Lipitor to lower their cholesterol, you don't have a Lipitor deficiency. At least type 1 diabetics have an insulin deficiency, so they actually need insulin. Most medications people go on, it's designed for you to keep taking it. That's how they make their profits.
For life. And
it's the jaded view, but you and I both are jaded.
We are. That's why we're friends.
Yes.
But it's for life.
Yes.
There was never a plan. There was never an exit strategy. There was never a plan for reversal. And it's meant to progress into something worse. So I just recently was asked by both my general practitioner and my neurologist, because they hadn't seen me in a while. I used to go there all the time. They would always give me an inhaler, prednisone, antibiotics all the time. They were killing my gut microbiome. Oh my God, the Advil. So basically, I've stopped all drugs since second quarter of 2020.
Right.
And while everybody else was having this horrible life with the black plague and freaking out, I was thriving. I was doing great. And I just wanted to let people know, because you talk about the scale a lot. No one had noticed I lost weight until after I lost my first 70 pounds.
Right.
So imagine if you're one of those people that's looking at the scale and you're like, wow, I lost 20 pounds and no one said anything. No one said anything about my weight loss until I lost 70 pounds.
It was 100 for me in my initial Atkins weight loss. I lost 100 pounds before anybody said, did you get a new haircut? Something's different. I didn't tell.
Yeah. And it's kind of disheartening, I guess, to the person that's, lost the weight, but I have to tell you, Jimmy, it was really easy to lose the weight, and it was super delicious. To this day, I love everything I eat. When people are like, oh, you have such self-control, I'm like, well, I do hold back from eating the second steak, but I might eat your steak if you don't eat it.
Is that what you primarily eat, is steak?
Mostly beef, lamb, and I do shrimp. So I do liver as well. I post pictures, but liver doesn't photograph so well. It's not a very pretty food. The steak is so pretty. You can take pictures of it.
You show liver in its raw form. It's very slimy. It's very gross looking. But yeah, even if you cook it, unless you grind it in with the ground beef and make like liver ground beef burgers, then you can hide it. But otherwise, yeah, it just looks weird. It starts to shrivel up if you cook it in the pan.
Yeah.